The year was 2017, and atop the gaming charts were things like Call of Duty, World War II, Battlefront 2, Super Mario Odyssey, and of course, PUBG. Enter Fortnite, at the time, a little-known game about a group of ragtag heroes trying to take back the world from an apocalyptic event, doing its best to try and stand out amongst the sea of enormously funded and overdeveloped games. Little did anyone know just how massive Fortnite would become, and it all started from this. In a 100% completely unbiased opinion, I think that Fortnite Save the World is one of the most unique and possibly best games to be made in the last 10 years. And it really was something special. Fortnite Save the World was produced by Epic Games as their new flagship IP. It was first teased in the magazine, yeah, remember those, the magazine Game Informer in issue number 253 in May of 2014. It wouldn't be for another 3 years till we, the consumer, would finally be able to sit down and play this long-awaited gem. And it was okay. IGN scored it a 6.5 in its early access review, saying this: Fortnite is a fun world with great action gameplay and clever building systems, hamstrung by overlapping progression systems that force you into monotonous missions for diminishing returns. That soon tarnishes its great first impressions, while the constant updates and events add flares of new gameplay and speak to the potential of Fortnite in the long run. The longer I play it, the less patience I have for these rules. This is something to think about, honestly, that word, potential. Not many games have dropped the ball harder and faster than Fortnite Save the World. Sure, some games have dropped the ball faster, but they never really had the potential to make it anyway. The game oozes personality, it oozes potential. It seriously could have been one of the best games to release, but so many things were left on the design room floor or just scrapped completely that the game sadly never saw what it could truly become. With so many things left out, it really doesn't do justice to the real problem that hindered Fortnite Save the World from the start: the terrible state of the game. Even though, yes, the missions were repetitive and sometimes boring, they had a certain amount of charm to them with things you can find throughout the world. You would be lucky if you were able to complete more than a few of them without crashing or getting blue screen back to your desktop. Enemies spawning inside walls, magically destroying your objectives, falling through the map, and many more really began to hinder the outlook of the completeness of this brand new game. Not to mention the monetization system. Okay, just stick with me for a second, but my lord, what were they thinking? When this game first came out, this is how it worked. Not many people played the game in this state or remember it like this because honestly, it was changed pretty quickly, but in the grand scheme of things, Jesus Christ, what an absolute shit show of a system to get brand new loot. Every single new, meaning craftable from your own inventory, item had to be bought with real money. Every single one. There were no daily weapon rewards, nothing to help you gain currency or V-Bucks or gold. Hell, there was no gold, no item caches, nothing. Literally zero ways to be able to get new and permanent loot. None. And if you were lucky enough to find a rare legendary weapon in the world, don't get too attached to it. Did I mention weapons have durability and every time you die you lose an eighth of that durability? I really hope you weren't attached to that awesome gun you found. It seriously boggles my mind what the devs were thinking, and this entire system is part of what led to some major reform of the loot box llama system across literally the entire world. The game was much different in its first few months. If you wanted the best stuff, you better hand over that Amex card, baby. Look, I get it. I'm not a game dev. I know how difficult it is. A game of this size and magnitude takes years and years of work and constant updates to get it ready for launch, but I really feel that it could have just been better. If they had taken more time to fix the problems that were so blatantly apparent at the launch of the game, we wouldn't have such a catastrophic explosion, leading to one of the only instances ever that a game gets cannibalized by one of its own offshoots. But we'll get into that. After a few months and the devs were able to hotfix and update a lot of the game-breaking bugs and crashes and fix many of the monetization issues, Fortnite Save the World really started to evolve into something amazing and unique. So unique, I have never seen it even remotely replicated in any other game ever again. Let me explain why. If you were to try and explain Fortnite Save the World to someone, what would you say? Seriously, think about it. Is it a looter shooter, a tower defense game, a survival co-op game, a base defense game, a third-person RPG? With other games, using Borderlands as an example here, you can get pretty basic about what the game actually is. Borderlands is a first-person looter shooter set in a different world or worlds where you fight monsters to get better loot to fight harder monsters who then drop better loot. When you say this sentence, you have covered what 90% of Borderlands is essentially about. Now try to do that with Fortnite Save the World. There are so many different aspects and avenues that go into a mission or game or design philosophy of Fortnite Save the World that trying to minimalize it to one sentence is almost impossible. If you were to focus on any one aspect of the game just mentioned, you would be leaving out so many different things the game does well. Want to call it a looter shooter? Sure, but what about the defense aspect? Want to call it a survival game? Sure, kinda is, but what about building trap tunnels? It honestly is all of those things and none of these things simultaneously. It's an enigma, which in my opinion is why it is so unique and so special. No other game combines so many different aspects of multiple different genres and games so seamlessly and well put together. And when everything worked from a technical standpoint, everything just kind of fell in line. To add on to this, the cast of characters and heroes we had were close to perfection. Almost every single one of them had some sort of use to fit any playstyle that you could possibly imagine. Did you like doing damage and being able to take down anything on the map? Then one of the 30 different soldiers or ninjas would be for you. Did you like being tanky and defend your base better than anybody else? Well, Constructor was for you. These differences in classes added even more broad appeal and replayability to the game, really grabbing some RPG fans that enjoy playing those certain playstyles. All of the characters were beautifully voiced, especially Ray, the main narrator of the game. To this day, in most modern AAA games, we can barely get the audio to sync up with the characters on screen. But I have rarely seen anyone ever complain about the cast of quirky and unique characters and heroes we got in Fortnite Save the World. This doesn't even touch on the extreme popularity of Fortnite Battle Royale that had people constantly trickling in to save the world, which further strengthened the community. It is very rare where you will get a fully fleshed out, amazing PvE game and have an almost exact replica of it in the PvP space. It's very rare that if you can get bored of grinding in a PvE game, that you can go let off some steam by shooting people in BR. This is such a rare phenomena that I can only think of a few games that have personally ever pulled it off in the past, or even fewer that are currently still going today. There is no other game, and I don't think we will ever see another game that combined every aspect of what Fortnite Save the World had to offer so flawlessly, and that is partly what led to the popularity and partly what led to its downfall. Jack of all trades and master of none, a death knell for many a game. And I believe it did have a role to play in the downfall of Save the World as well, but by the time it became apparent, decisions from higher ups already had the game in a downward spiral. But because of this, it being so good at so many things, it attracted such a diverse and different audience that normally wouldn't play this type of game. You had people and communities who loved to collect loot, get all the best gear, and beat the hardest content possible. Yet there were other communities that the base building artistic standpoint was the main draw from them. Being able to redesign almost any piece of art within Fortnite's genius building system brought even more people who might normally skip a game like this. Tower defense games, what the defense stages essentially boiled down to, was one of the best to ever do it, allowing the player to have complete control over where the enemy's path to, and figuring out best said path took hundreds and hundreds of hours just to shave off a few seconds of a mission or to get one more wave done on your storm shield defense. As a personal anecdote, I'd like to just mention I have been creating content on and off for the past 5 years, and I have never, not once, ever experienced the camaraderie, friendship, and love from a group of people that I have during Fortnite Save the World. It was seriously something amazing to see, and especially to be such a large part of. Very rarely do we see a company devour its original product by an offshoot. While writing this script, I can't think of any other game that did exactly this, at least not as successfully as Fortnite Battle Royale. Battle Royale, the worldwide phenomenon that captivated millions and millions of people, started tens of thousands of Twitch and YouTube careers, for lack of a better word, was a juggernaut. And I was there from minute one. September 26, 2017, just 2 months after the release of Fortnite Save the World, which wasn't as successful as Epic Games had originally hoped, a little-known side project from an alternate team of devs was released, Fortnite Battle Royale. Now, you may remember it becoming an overnight smash success, but it wasn't as popular originally as you may think. In fact, there were so few people covering Fortnite on any social media platforms that Epic Games reached out to me personally to help them promote their game. Mind you, I was only making content for 2 months at this point and had maybe 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. I wasn't even streaming on Twitch yet. That's how difficult it was to find anyone covering their game at the very beginning. But as we all know, that didn't last very long. Fortnite Battle Royale literally changed everything about online gaming and became one of the biggest games ever, and was one of the few games ever to transcend into mainline media. No longer were video games just for kids or people playing in their mother's basements. People started bringing home serious cash. Everyone, and I mean everyone, knew what Fortnite was, knew how popular it was, knew what kind of money Epic Games was making, and every other company wanted a piece of that pie. Whether releasing their own Battle Royale or just copying the monetization system, but no one did it better than Fortnite Battle Royale. I don't think it will ever be done this well again. And all this while, Fortnite Battle Royale's older brother, Save the World, was collecting dust on the back shelf. It's strange to me that I can get more into a mobile game nowadays than some of the newer AAA titles that release. The replayability factor just isn't there. And for someone who really sunk their claws into Save the World, not just me, but the average Joe too, the amount of content there would be on hand is literally staggering. It honestly has almost an infinite amount of ways you can play and enjoy the game. Sometimes it just became Minecraft with guns, just using the environment to build these giant forts, or spending a whole mission just farming materials to use at a later date. You had 4 giant storm shields that let you basically build whatever you wanted. You had between 7 and 10 different missions to load into. Eventually you would have boss fights and dungeons. To add on to that, you had hundreds of different weapons to collect, most with unique swing animations or special bullets or abilities, constantly changing your playstyle. You had bows, you had bases from constructors to further reinforce your defenses, you had trap tunnels, kiting, and had hundreds of different heroes to choose from, hundreds of different survivors to collect and abilities to use. The amount of content offered with Fortnite Save the World does not, I repeat, not get the credit it deserves, and I doubt it ever will. But man, I'm telling you, if you give Save the World a shot, you're in for a hell of a time. As Fortnite Save the World solidified its player base and tried to stay afloat in the gigantic wake of its younger brother's Fortnite Battle Royale's shadow, we received a patch out of nowhere, 11/20/2019, a date that will go down in infamy as the Storm King and Dungeons update. Gone were the shitty anti-consumer practices, gone were the game-breaking bugs, and we had a surge of huge updates and content, specifically the Storm King. The Storm King was a highly anticipated fight that brought the community together closer than it ever was before. The boss fight itself was actually difficult and well crafted, fun and interesting, and it really helped to revitalize the game after 2 years of small updates and content patches. It drew so many people back into the game to check out the new hot thing, and if you weren't prepared, you were not going to beat him. It really was the most exciting time in Fortnite Save the World's community. Not to mention that dungeons were released as semi-rogue-like experiences where you and a group of friends went into 5 brand new maps and tried to make it to the end of the mission, fighting bosses, dodging traps, and figuring out puzzles along the way, all culminating in an epic large-scale boss fight that were pretty engaging and difficult your first couple of times through. Seriously, the fandom and love for this game is something I have never seen from a smaller player base. This isn't Pokemon or Mario, this is a smaller game, a brand new IP from a company that had all hands on deck dealing with the behemoth of Fortnite Battle Royale. Yet, the few devs that were left were able to release a gigantic update with tons of new mechanics, heroes, weapons, dungeons, and a gigantic boss fight. If you were here for this update and the months that followed, you truly know how special all of this really was. Sadly, it is impossible to tell the player count of any of this, since the game is not on Steam, and even if it was, Fortnite Battle Royale and Save the World directories have always been combined, so we would never have a true idea. But if I had to guess, I would say that for a brief period, Fortnite Save the World showed signs of life, and people were excited for the next huge update. Ventures. With Fortnite Save the World at an all-time peak of performance, mechanics, player base, and monetization, the community was eagerly awaiting what was next in store for their beloved game. Little did we know, it was the beginning of the end for everything we've come to know and love. For a little bit of reference, Fortnite used to do seasonal events. The first one was called Survive the Storm, and it was a massive 4.5-hour long event in which you needed to defeat a set number of waves of harder and harder enemies and objectives. Then came things like Horde Bash, but everyone's favorite and most difficult was called Frost Night. This was a reincarnation of the original Survive the Storm event and was streamlined to be much quicker and much more concise. But by no means was it any easier. It was simply a fan favorite. And with the hype of the Storm King dying down, everyone was waiting to hear about the brand new Frost Night V2. Sadly, what we got was the exact same event from the previous year. Same map, same objectives, same everything, only easier. They shortened everything, which made the game not scale as high and was no longer a challenge for the vast majority of the player base, and became more of a waste of time of 2 hours needed to complete the event for the exact same rewards you had the previous year. This is another sign of things to come for Fortnite Save the World. With the huge Storm King update, the community was expecting more content, heroes, weapons, and things to do, and what we got was tiny updates that had no impact on gameplay over and over and over again for months on end. So little, in fact, has changed in Fortnite Save the World in the 3 years that I haven't played the game. I maybe have missed out on 3 new heroes and 2 guns. That's it. That is all that has really been added to the game in almost 3 years of development time. To go from your peak player base and everyone excited to see what was in store for the game we all loved, to release the exact same event from the previous year was a bit of a letdown. Well, at least we still had Ventures to look forward to. Keeping of the theme of rehashing content, let's quickly talk about Ventures. This was hyped up to be a roguelike experience where you cannot use all of your most powerful gear, and must use items you find within the environment, making the game much more difficult, as you were always underleveled and underpowered. Sounded pretty good, until you realized that this was it. This was the last major update Fortnite Save the World would ever really get. And with all of the unique and interesting mechanics, guns, loots, heroes, multiple genres all rolled in to this one gigantic amalgamation of a game, we were left to do everything we have done before from the beginning without all of the gear we worked so hard to collect and acquire again. It was for a lot of people a giant slap in the face. Another small personal anecdote before we wrap this video up is something that I still talk about on my streams. The height of my Twitch career was the release of Storm King, averaging 150 to 250 viewers. To get a small understanding of how excited and starved everyone was for content, the hour before Ventures came out, I had over 700 people waiting, just watching a screen. And that was it. That number, the 700, which was a new record for myself, dwindled down to 90 within the first hour of Venture's actual release. Once the community realized what Ventures represented, and in fact was, compared to what was promised, it didn't sit well with them. Losing that many people to your game, and me being able to watch it all unfold live, well, for lack of a better term, that was insane. 6/30/2020. Another day that will live within infamy of the Save the World community. This was the roadmap that told us our beloved game would no longer be getting regular updates and be maintained by a skeleton crew of developers, basically calling an unfinished game finished, throwing their hands up and being done with it. This finally killed any hope we had that maybe we would get the game to go free to play, or they would finish the final zone, or many of the other promises that were never delivered on. Still, with all of these negatives, empty promises, and straight up lies, my memories of Fortnite Save the World are still incredibly positive. Personally, I have met countless friends who I still talk to this day, played an absurd amount of hours, tried, theory crafted, and attempted every single challenge in the game. I was ready to keep going, keep growing and changing and adapting, but the rug got pulled out from under us. The most insane part is that Save the World had the potential. It really, really did. Like I said at the start of this video, no other game combines so many genres into one massive experiment. No matter what game you normally play, the multiple different playstyles, the quirky characters that everyone literally fell in love with, the amazing heroes with cool and great feeling abilities, Ray, the Storm Shield, the Husks. This game had something for literally everyone. And honestly, I feel that for the price you can get the game nowadays, you really cannot go wrong with the amount of content and variety you will receive. It still blows me away that the highest player base it ever had to actually killing their own unfinished game was only 7 months away from each other. Something definitely went on behind the scenes, or their little brother, Battle Royale, just became too much of a powerhouse and it was all hands on deck, while billions and billions of dollars rolled in. Either way, we will never have an official answer of what happened to this truly unique and special game. I just want to give a huge thank you to anyone and everyone who made it this far in the video. I love Save the World, and I probably always will. It has been a huge part of my life for the past 5 years, and I really wish it could continue to do so. This is my foray into different kinds of videos coming from this channel in the next coming year. More docu-series and breakdowns and dissections of games, things that I actually enjoy doing, and some guides and stuff sprinkled throughout. This isn't the whole story of Fortnite Save the World. This is more my story. But I tried to add as much as I possibly could that you guys can relate with and know exactly what I'm talking about for most of it. There are so many aspects and different things to talk about within Fortnite Save the World because it is so unique and it offers so many different playstyles and things to do that I couldn't touch on everything. I tried my best to highlight some of the best things, but of course, I missed out on many things. While editing, I realized I didn't talk enough about the building aspect and how unique that was, and being flown out to Epic Games Studios to hang out with the devs and get a sneak peek at the Storm King. All of these things and more I definitely missed in this video, but I wanted to hit just some highlight notes and just give my thoughts and opinions on the last 5 years of Fortnite and how truly special the game was. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. Tic Tac.